Ariba StartSourcing. Sourcing better for better commerce.
Our next tab is the Audit Log. This is the repository of audit log entries related to different happenings with your event. It is a running compilation of these events. The system will put an entry in for different system events. So in this case, we see at this time and date is when this event was published, and invitations were sent out. And you can see a little bit later the event was edited again and republished, and at this time the event closing time was modified. So you have the different system, you have different entries for different system activities related to this particular event. Up in the right hand corner, the table options, you can actually show another collection of audit log entries. This is the user logs. The user logs include when that supplier actually accessed and exited the event. So you can see here that Dan supplier accessed the event and exited at that time. Now I do want to point out something, because this is using a system demo site. I'm able to log in as the user through what we call our surrogate bid capability. But in your particular events, you'll see in real user will be Dan supplier on behalf of Dan supplier. So things will be as you would expect to see it here. You can also turn off the system logs and just focus it on the user logs. Okay. You can group by different types of activities or when it's happened. So let's say on actions and system logs included, and it organizes them into nice different groupings of the actual audit log entries. So you can focus on when suppliers accessed and exited the event if you chose to. The Scenario tab is where you can create award scenarios. So you can decide different ways that you want to award the business. So in this particular event, I'm going to create a new scenario, and I could call it lowest bidders. Okay. And based on that, I can award to the supplier each of the items. So in this case, notice that it lists the suppliers who's going to get the business, and it also gives their rank. So I can see that Main Street Backpacks there and Main Street Backpacks there. And this is how it would be if I wanted to award to all the lowest bidders. And I could just click Submit for Award. You have this tab here, gives you a summary of the award. In this case, Main Street's going to get 2 items for total extended price and total savings. Let's create another scenario, and this time we are going to split the award. So I'm going to call this Split Award, and we're going to give 70% of both backpacks to Main Street, but we also want to give some of the business to a second supplier. That way we have a backup supplier. So right now I'm going to go down here to where it says Advance Award. And Main Street I'm going to give 70%, and Acme I'm going to give 30%. Save that. And I'm going to do the same thing here for the leather backpacks. I'm going to give them 70%, and I'm going to give Computer Cases of Copenhagen 30%. So the system fills out the information, and you have that split award. Now if we look at the summary, you can see the breakout on how this award would work. So now we have 2 different awards. We can compare and contrast. You can see the difference in savings. Now we're going to create one more scenario, and this time we're going to utilize the capability to award or create the award scenario in Excel. That won't have, that's not functionality that you'll utilize for an event like this with 2 items and 3 suppliers. But if you have an event that maybe has 300 items plus and 20, 30 suppliers, then utilizing Excel would definitely benefit you. So I'm going to call this Excel Award just so we can keep them separate. I'm not going to select anything here. I'm just going to click down here where it says Excel Import. And step 1, you need to open up the scenario in an Excel worksheet. This is the instruction sheet, and the next tab, Award Allocation. This is where you can award the items. So I'm going to give Acme, I'm going to give them 100% of the first item, and I'm going to give Computer Cases of Copenhagen, I'm going to give them 50% of the leather, and I'm going to copy that item, so we'll have 2 for leather, and I'm going to give Main Street, copy their name in here, give Main Street the other 50%. Save that. I'm going to do File, Save As. Back in Ariba, I'm going to browse for that document that I just created and click Upload. When I do that, the system will read in that Excel file and allocate the business as we defined it. In this case, the first item, 100% goes to Acme, and the second item, 50% goes to Computer Cases of Copenhagen and 50% to Main Street Backpacks. Look at the summary, gives you an idea, and I can say Done. So we have our 3 scenarios that we created. I can edit anyone anytime, so by clicking on there and click Edit, I can go in and edit it again. I can submit it for an award if I choose to. Okay. We have the ability to delete them. If for some reason we want to do a different one that we call Excel Award, we can just delete it. So this is the award scenarios. Now before we go to the awards tab, I'm actually going to award this business, and let's do a split award as the one. So I'm going to edit it. This is the one that I gave 70% of the business to Main Street for each item, and then split the remaining 30% for each item across the different suppliers. Okay, and look again at the summary so we can see how this works. Okay, and last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click Submit for Award. It gives us the screen here. We can decide if we want to send emails to the awarded participants, and if we wanted to send emails to the non-awarded participants. Now you might want to customize these, so I'm going to say that I only want it going to awarded participants, and I'm going to click on Customize Award Emails, and these are the 2 emails that will go out. This is people who don't get the award and people who get the award. If I click on Awarding and click Customize, I can change this message. Now notice that we have what we call email tokens in here, and it will populate the email message with the data that's in this token. So in this case it says event, and then our event title will show up, and it says lot, and then it'll put the item name in that subject line, and all the other tokens are filled out. I could have in here and say okay, so I could customize it if I want. Say Done, And when I click done here, that will actually award the business. It will send out that notification to the supplier. It will take the event and put it in complete status, okay? And we will have our award. So now I come to the award tab. Notice the event's in completed status, and the award tab has our award broken out and displaying it here. I can export that into Excel if I want to save that file. So we have an offline record. That information is available in the Excel format. Let's close that. As promised, we are going to focus on the Content tab now at the end here, because this contains the most information and probably the screen you'll be on the most when monitoring your event. This screen gives an overview of the entire event. You can see all your questions and items that you included in your event. You can see the respondents who have responded. In this case, we have 3 of them. We do have a column so you can see initial pricing and historic pricing. That is what historic we use for calculating savings. Initial is what suppliers see initially when they go into the event. You have the flexibility in this when your events are larger to filter by section. So in this case I'm clicking on 1 and it shows me just section 1 and all the sections and content below. In this case there's only 1 requirement, but I can go next and it shows me section 2, and in there we have 3 subsections, and each subsection has multiple questions. So you have the ability to focus on a section at a time. For an event this size, it's not a big deal. No real big need for it, but a significantly larger event, this will be highly valuable for you. You also have the ability to change the display of the data that you're looking at here. Right now it's set to responses. You can focus on different screens. For example, let's say you want to see this event on a extended price basis, so it's now the price times quantity. You can focus your view there. You want to focus it on savings. You can go back to just focusing on price. This is the actual unit price. I'm going to go back to responses. Those other screens, you can explore them as you wish, but these are the ones that you're more likely to focus on. Also want to go back and show all content. So now I'm back seeing my full view. I'd like to point out over here the table options menu. This is where you can do a lot of things with the data that you're seeing. First of all, you have the flexibility to choose which suppliers columns you would like to see. If you want to turn off the initial and the historic, you can. If you want to remove, let's say, Acme and just focus on Main Street and computer cases, that you can do. And of course, you can bring them all back. Other options, you have the ability to show the detail rows, expand or close them. Let's go to, I'm going to collapse all the detail rows. I'm going to focus, and those are when we're talking about in pricing. These collapsible, you have the ability to choose that by just pressing the plus sign and it will expand and collapse. If you choose the expand all detail rows, it will expand all of those through the whole event. This is, once again, helpful when you have, let's say, 30, 40, 50 line items. Instead of manually clicking each one of those, you can do it en masse. And you can choose what items you want to see. And those are available. You can turn them on, turn them off. The outline, you can collapse the whole outline, and it shows you just the first section, or you can expand all and expands everything out. Last thing you do is you have the ability to export this to Excel. If If you click Export to all rows, it will generate an Excel sheet based on the responses there. This is in a just pretty much raw format, puts it out the way that it was in that screen. And you do have some formatting, like here you can see how you have that. They are numbers in here, so you can use them for formulas. These values down here, so you can create some extra formulas. So a simple way, other than the event reports, to get data out of your event. This is the Content tab. It is very valuable, and I would recommend you explore through the event guide how to use this in more depth. This concludes our two-part series on monitoring an active Ariba StartSourcing event. Please check out the other Get Started videos navigating and creating a StartSourcing event. Thank you.
Now you can get Ariba's game-changing sourcing technology absolutely free. Visit ariba.com/startsourcing and get started today.